Hello, everyone. Chuckle.
Yo!
Okay, maybe a little bit quieter next time, but um,
Okay.
hello, everyone. Welcome to the Week 7 overview. We're joined by Chuckle today, and we will be looking at all of the matchups. We got every single matchup besides one, actually, which is pretty impressive for the past few weeks at least. I was able to get my first match in 4 weeks. Um, and charcoal oven is now actually able to exist. So
I know
a lot more
it's so
like,
awesome.
yeah, it was a good week. So without further ado, let's get right into the battles. Trippy versus Nick. Tinglu Garg lead is extremely standard, and then Tracheon Weavile, exerting a lot of pressure off rip. Beat up Justified, love the combo. That was a classic back in Sword and Shield when you can Dynamax too, so you take even less damage. Yeah. Substitute too. Wow. A body press, putting Weavile on the sash, and a fissure hits. Nice. Terra Ghost Terrakion really nice. The triple axle should do a lot, but not kill. And is it Citrus Berry? It is Citrus Berry Tinglu, so it's a little bit less. Rock Slide does unfortunately miss the Garg, but a body press is huge, and two body presses means Terra Ghost was great there on Terrakion. Triple axle will pick up the kill, yeah, if it hits, and then this should pretty easily kill Garganackle as well. Yep. So now it is a very uphill battle. Terrakion does outspeed both of these. So Kyurem is in trouble, and he gets OHKO'd by low kick. Okay, and Terrakion should pick up. He goes for Rock Slide instead of Sacred Sword. Interesting, but especially because he already Terra'd, so I don't really get
Yeah.
that. But it
Still
doesn't
pretty
really matter. I
dominant.
mean, it's over. Extremely dominant by Nick. I mean, just setting up that combo really let him sweep. I mean, it's probably not going to be as easy in the future, especially if Kyogre is a lead, because he threatens Tracken a lot more. Just because it'll be hit very strong for neutral, or if fissures do connect, we can see how things go differently game 2. But it feels like the strategy did work very well in game 1. Kyogre is kind of like a must-have after how that went last time, and Rayquaza mixes things up, so Kyogre cannot. He kind of predicted the Kyogre lead. Fake out into Metagross does make sense. Ooh, but Kyogre does tank the Dragon Ascent and eat its Wiki Berry, so Metagross obviously flinches, and Origin Pulse does almost nothing, even to a -1 Rayquaza. Dang, beat up does quite a bit in the Metagross here, actually. And then Rayquaza does pick up the kill on Kyogre, so very nice. And Metagross should pick up a kill on either one. Oh, actually, it does pick up the kill on Rayquaza and puts Weavile down to Sash. So very nice. It is much closer this time, and Rain is now up, which Tracking doesn't love, but it shouldn't matter a ton. I would expect another beat up into Metagross, honestly, than like a Sacred Sword into Garg. I think that's the play. But instead going to stack up on Terrakion, and a miss on Garganackle is pretty rough. Let's see what Garg goes for. He does go for a body press, but it doesn't kill, so Tinglu comes out, and now Garganackle or Tinglu can go down here. Triple Axle comes out, and Terrakion really should not be going for another Rock Slide. In my opinion, I think he should be going for a Sacred Sword. Yes, and it doesn't pick up the kill, actually. It's very bulky Tinglu. Thankfully, Terrakion dodges the Rock Slide, but if we get hit with this one, he will, and he won't make it. So I think this is where you should probably prioritize killing the Garganackle, or why that would have made a slightly better play. Tinglu goes down, but Garganackle can get off some good damage into Terrapagos. Actually, sorry, I forgot about the Terra Shell, so he doesn't take much at all. Meteor Beam, interesting. How much will this do?
So
over half. A body press should do a lot. Ooh, but I think Terrapagos can pick up the kill here. Energy Ball, so he does. Very nice. And that was just kind of good play by Nick overall.
That's an interesting set on Terrapagos, definitely.
I know.
Because
I mean,
that's
Terra
meant
Starstorm,
that's
Meteor Beam, Energy. I mean, Meteor Beam is
how
definitely for Kyurem Black. And Energy Ball is definitely for Garganackle and Kyogre and Tinglu. So it does make a lot of sense. It's just a very unique set. Power Meteor Beam is not common.
Especially because like I was looking out for like that left. I was looking out for the leftovers triggering at the end of that first turn, and I saw it didn't come, and I was like, I was a little confused at first, but then I saw him use Meteor Beam, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
I think anything that can do insane damage is great into Trippy's team because if you can do 49% or more than 49% into a, uh, a Pokemon that is entirely based on bulk, probably can't do a whole lot back. You saw Body Press that did only 50%, whereas you typically expect Body Press to do more than that as a super effective
Mm-hmm.
attack. I mean, maybe this is a bulky Trapagos, but I think it shows like this Garganacl is probably more specially invested, I would guess, based on that damage and HP is it would be my guess. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Anyways, it was a great set by Nick, sorry, and Amoonguss did not make an appearance. Neither did Murkrow, but neither really needed to. I think Amoonguss could have been good there, but Terrakion put in so much work, and Weavile was a great support mon. Only real misplay I think was no beat up into Metagross and not prioritizing killing the Garganacl with a Sacred Sword, but neither ended up really mattering. So
Mm-hmm.
anyways, let's move on to my matchup versus It's Just Me. What an interesting match this was. I did bring a Namorous for the first time, and I brought Volbeat to kind of counter his weather to the best of my ability. And yeah, let's get started. So game one, I do lead Volbeat and Enamorous. My thought process is start stacking up superpowers, and I can change the weather on his Groudon. So you can see I do eat that pretty well, and with a superpower, I should, be in a good spot defensively. However, I also, you will notice I do have Flame Orb on my Volbeat, so I can trick it onto Groudon. However, I forget that he can run Swords Dance on his Groudon. So I am now a little bit behind, and his Groudon is not really being threatened much. Also, an Encore on my Volbeat means I cannot correct the weather. So I'm really not in a good spot from here on out. Urshifu does come in. He is out of his weather. And a double up onto Enamorous does actually kill it. So Groudon outspeeds my Enamorous, which is a little crazy. I did not run much speed investment, and he must have run a little bit at least. And I forget that he can Terra again, so I just do make a pretty poor play. I have Ice Spinner Urshifu just for that reason, in case he's Terra Grass, and I forgot about it in the moment and didn't click it. So that's entirely my fault. And he will Sunny Day, but he does not actually set up Tailwind, so I do outspeed him. Except I don't. Sorry, I don't set up Tailwind. He has Tailwind. I forgot we're in the switched up position. And then Rhydon comes out, but it's kind of too little too late at this point. He does also take way more than I expect from Whimsicott, so he does go down here. I would have put Terra if I'd been smart, but I decided against it, and that was a poor play. I might have had a chance, but I don't think I did anyways. And he does beat me 4-0 pretty handily. It was quite poor play. I kind of made some assumptions of Rhydon not taking a lot of damage, Enamorous, outspeeding, some things like that worked against me. So I think in the future, don't make many assumptions. You saw that I did trick Flame Orb onto Groudon, but it took way too long for me to do that. So I should cripple Groudon a little earlier, and kind of shut down this Whimsicott. I did not attack into it once, and I feel like attacking into it is a big part of my win condition. I will also switch it from my perspective now. One quick thing I do want to note: I'm running Terra Water Urshifu just for increased damage, and Terra Water Volbeat in case he goes for a Heat Crash. Then I'm Terra Flying pretty clearly just to avoid the ground Precious Blades. Terra Dark on both of these guys just to avoid his or to really cripple his Psychic types that he didn't end up bringing really here. And Terra Stellar on Enamorous just because I wasn't sure what he was going to use, but either way, Moonblast and I forget Terra Stellar Terra Blast is quite good with Contrary, so yeah. I do mix up the lead a little bit here, and you'll notice immediately I do focus significantly more on shutting down this Groudon. So I trick the Flame Orb onto it immediately, so it's burned out the get-go, and I fake out the Clefairy, which, first of all, it's a little funny because I was trying to fake out the Clefairy because I was expecting a Follow Me on it, and I'm like, oh, Grimmsnarl outspeeds Clefairy, right? But I did forget that I'm running Lagging Tail on Grimmsnarl, meaning it moves last in its priority bracket. So if I'm moving at +3 priority, it never matters, except Follow Me and Helping Hand are both also +3 priority. So I always underspeed this Clefairy when we're both clicking +3 priority moves, which I failed to consider. So that was actually kind of a poor play. I should have just fake out of the Groudon. It doesn't end up mattering too much, as you can see here. But then I do go for Parting Shot in the Clefairy, so I can send out Urshifu in front of this Groudon, and I can Ice Spinner this time instead of, not doing so. Or I can just target the Clefairy, which I actually do. I trick away its Eviolite, and then I go for Surging Strikes into the Clefairy, not even the Groudon. First of all, in case he Terras. Second of all, just so he can't redirect anymore. And I do believe I live a Precious Blades because I already did it last time. And he goes for Swords Dance, which is a little interesting. Whimsicott comes out, and he does Terra Grass. I go for an Encore on him, forcing him to Swords Dance for Eternity, and then I go for Ice Spinner into Whimsicott to bring it down to Sash, and this is key for me, because now Groudon cannot move. He can only use Swords Dance, and whether or not he taunts my Volbeat or whatever, he kind of has to switch Groudon here, and if I can kill Whimsicott before, and he decides not to switch, then Groudon is stuck for the rest of this game, clicking Encore, so long as I can preserve Volbeat, which I almost definitely can. So this is great. He does switch the Arcanine instead of the Groudon, which means I do get a free kill with Surging Strikes. I went for Surging Strikes just in case he switched into Chi-Yu or Arcanine, because it's fine into Whimsicott either way. So it did really pay off for me. And then I can Rain Dance, and him encoring me doesn't really matter at this point because his Groudon is encored into Swords Dance. So he's just going to have to Swords Dance forever. I mean, once his Encore runs up, as it does now, I have Prankster Encore on him again. I Terra Water just to make the game over quicker. I could have switched out and Ice Spinnered, or I could have stayed in and killed him slowly, but it's game over at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, that was very, very just clean. And
I think the adjustment was needed, for sure.
Yeah, the burn off the bat really, I think, like, just focusing on getting that burn off on the Groudon, I think helped a lot.
I'd agree. I think if I
strategically in the long run.
I think the burn on it, and also like either burn or Lagging Tail on Groudon immediately is great. If I burn him, then even if he Swords Dances, he's back to neutral pretty much. And then I can Lagging Tail on top of that. But I think Lagging Tail, Grimmsnarl, and Flame Orb was like maybe a little overkill. But it gives me two ways of shutting down Groudon, and I think that's important because Chi-Yu and Groudon are his only real attackers. He does have Arcanine as Sui, but he's not even that good, especially against Urshifu. So I feel like Arcanine Hisui is not actually as much of a threat. It's mainly these two guys, and so if I can shut them down, that's a big deal. So for Game 3, I do decide to go with the what I believe is the correct lead of Grimmsnarl and Volbeat. I think it's a very strong lead no matter what he does. He goes for a Protect, and I go. I do try and fake him out, but I Encore a Whimsicott into Tailwind, and this is key for a few reasons. First of all, if I Rain Dance, he can't Sunny Day away from me, right? Second of all, he can't Encore me, which is probably the more important part. So I'm free to. He has to switch out and switch back in before he can stop me from doing anything. So I can Tailwind and Rain Dance, and I'm in a great spot. Also, I could Encore this Groudon into Protected by Wish, so I'm really in a good spot from this turn. I forget which of those options I'd choose to do. I Trick, actually. I should have Encored Groudon to Protect, but it's okay. I just double into Protect with Trick and Parting Shot, meaning he is now weak. Even if he goes for Precious Blades, I'm okay. And he goes for Heat Crash, which it does make sense. But now his Groudon is -1 and Burn, so he has to switch out pretty much. And I can go for a Tailwind to make things pretty even speed-wise, and Miraidon is able to outspeed and kill Chi-Yu. If it were Scarf Chi-Yu, then I would still be okay. If it used Heat Wave, then like Volbeat can go down, obviously, but there was no real way for him to kill Miraidon easily. I mean, Dark Pulse is the best thing he could do, or Snarl. But even then, I do quite a bit of damage into Chi-Yu, or if he snarls me, I can get a free switch to fake out either Whimsicott, Break Sash, or whatever I want. So it's really not a bad play either. Like, no matter what he does, I'm still in a decent spot. And when Venusaur does come out, I decided to fake out the Whimsicott, honestly, and to Rain Dance, so that Venusaur is now out of his weather, and his opponent is, and my opponent can run out of Tailwind on the next turn. So Venusaur is out of position. He can either Tailwind or Sunny Day. Either way, Venusaur is back up to neutral because we do have Tailwind, so he can't have both of those things active at once. So it really does shut down the Venusaur going for Rain Dance here. And faking out the Whimsicott ensures that I break Sash, so my Miraidon in the back or whoever I choose to use can shut down that Whimsicott pretty well. I believe I sent out Miraidon here. I sent out Urshifu. Okay, it does make a lot of sense. I can Ice Spinner and kill either one. I switch into Miraidon just to preserve Volbeat. He goes for Encore, which is great because he wanted to Encore me into Rain Dance, but it doesn't work obviously because I switched. And then I think he either forgets that I can attack into through Protect with Venusaur, or he expected me to click something like Encore into Venusaur. I don't know exactly what he was expecting.
Yeah, I'm assuming he just forgot. That's my best assumption.
That's honestly what I'm assuming as well. But I think it's pretty good to I think this just kind of guarantees a win for me, honestly, because an Ice Spinner into Venusaur is an Oko, and now it's Groudon, who can set up the Sun, to be fair, but he needs to spend a turn clicking Tailwind, and I can kill it pretty easily and can't even protect it in front of me. And I do also have Miraidon on the field, so it's quite hard for this Groudon to survive. I Draco Meteorite to get it quite low, and then I Ice Spinner just for the kill. I am not Choice Scarfed here. I'm Life Orb, so I could have switched it up, but Ice Spinner makes the most sense here. And I'm fine to eating that because I can switch pretty freely into Volbeat, just so that Miraidon's differential is slightly better. And so now down goes Whimsicott because I guaranteed the kill anyways. Even if it's Moonblast into Urshifu, first of all, I don't think that kills. And second of all, I'm still in a good spot because I can Tailwind and then I can kill with Miraidon. So
yeah, I mean, again, that was also just like for the most part, it was really just comfortable. I mean, there wasn't really anything. There wasn't anything major going for your opponent that entire game. So
yeah,
it was kind of just, it was like, even though it was like you still lost 2 mons, you were in the driver's seat that entire time. So
yeah, I think I identified that the best way to shut down Groudon specifically, I mean Chi-Yu as well, but mainly Groudon, is to put it out of position and to cripple it, right? So if I set up Rain Dance on it, or if I've Tailwind up and he doesn't, then he's pretty far out of position. Groudon wants to ideally move first, but either way, he wants to be able to get off big attacks. If he can Swords Dance, even better. He also wants to be in the sun, and if he's not in the sun, his Heat Crash really doesn't do a whole lot of damage. So he's only really relying on Precipice Blades, which is not ideal because those are his only 2 attacks, Heat Crash and Precipice Blades. And that's not ideal because I do have Terra Flying, and just because it's less accurate and a bunch of reasons. But also crippling it with the burn was huge. I didn't ever end up using the Lagging Tail on Grimmsnarl, but that would have been another way to cripple it. So I think going in with the mentality of shutting down Groudon, I didn't actually do it enough game 1, and then I adapted to do that more at games 2 and 3. So I think that was the correct play of trying to hard shut down Groudon. Let's move on to Charcoal Oven versus Amuledude. Do you have any thoughts about like going into this? How you felt?
yeah, I mean, going into this, I did a bunch of calcs, and I was like, so I was kind of
Were you expecting
looking.
Shift Tree?
I was looking at the matchup. I was not expecting Shift Tree.
It
So
was good
that
in your
was the
team. I wasn't
first.
expecting that really either.
That was the first thing I saw that I was like, okay, that's pretty out of the ordinary, but that could actually be like something I need to pay attention to. So I like that was like the first thing I identified. And I was also kind of, because he also had an option to bring Paris Trap.
Yeah, I'm
So that was
surprised to
the
see
second
no
thing
real Paris
I
Trap.
saw. He didn't have any of that. I'm assuming it was because of I'm assuming it was because of
Yeah,
Calyrex.
I think it was almost entirely because
Because
of
like
Calyrex.
when you've got an entire strategy that just does not work on your opponent's best mon, it's maybe not the best thing to bring.
And Ditto as well
So
is hard. And you had a lot
yeah,
of pivot moves, so I think it kind of was the correct play not going for Perish up here.
Yeah. And like that was like with Terra Ghost on Ditto. I had Terra Ghost on Calyrex so that I could get boosted Astral Barrages because there weren't any really good defensive Terras against him because like usually I run Terra Fairy. That doesn't really work that well when Dialga just bonks you on the forehead with Steel Beam or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or just some sort of steel type attack. And then yeah, and then with Jump Left, it was mainly just like another way to set up Sun. Because my team works pretty well. My team works very well in Sun. Although I didn't focus as much on it this set because Sun also benefits Ho-Oh.
Yeah.
So
and Shiftry, which
yeah, and Shiftry.
I also wasn't expecting, but.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Terra Bug on Dialga is to make it no longer weak to ground, which Great Tusk has. It could have been Terra Grass, but I think it didn't want to lose to Ice Spinner and maybe to Torn. It did run Terra Grass on Ho-Oh anyways, but actually, yeah, it's resist bug and fighting and ground, not just ground, and it's weak to flying anyways. So take back what I said, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get into the match. I was looking forward to this match. There's two good teams. And Shiftry did come out right away. Do you still go for Sunny Day? Do you go for Tailwind? You go for Taunt. Interesting.
I went for Taunt there because I was expecting...
Yeah, you just get burned immediately. What was the thought process? Sorry, I'm just curious.
So there,
you just wanted to kill Shiftry.
I was there I was going for the kill on Shiftry. But with the taunt, I was because I forgot I didn't remember his moveset specifically, so I thought he was trying to set up like a Tailwind or some sort of like use some sort of setup move and using Shiftry as sort of like
I got you.
Oh, I'm right in front of I'm sitting right in front of it. I can't really do a ton to Ho-Oh, so I'm gonna go target the thing that I'm gonna like. I'd probably go for it, and then Ho-Oh just has some extra time to sort of set up. So that was my idea going into that, but I don't know.
I mean, I've only really seen it use Life Orb on his team, or not Life Orb, Life Dew on his team. But that's the heal, and I wouldn't ever expect him to click Life Dew turn 1. So
yeah, and that was no, like I didn't really look at his like any of his team sheets.
Did you
like
look at previous games
pace or whatever? No, not really, because
I
didn't have a ton of time
because I've had to watch all of his matches previously. So, but yeah, I think Tailwind would have been good there, just so you outspeed. Sunny Day maybe, but Shiftry, I do get that. So
yeah,
Tailwind does come out in close combat. Were you expecting a switch there or Terra?
Yeah, I was expecting a switch.
Into Shiftry or Dialga or Smirkle or one of those guys.
Yeah.
Even Clef
like
fine.
Yeah, any of those guys that would have done some decent damage into. So
gotcha. Do you have knockoff on this guy, by the way? I'm just curious.
I did not this game.
Gotcha.
No.
Yeah, let's see what he goes for. Earth Power does pick up the kill, actually, and Sacred Power should do quite a bit here. Yeah, wow. And Eject Button switches out into Calyrex. I know that was for the Shutdown Perish trap. He does switch here, actually, and he goes Terras as well. So Astral Barrage should do a little bit. Does quite a bit in the Dialga, actually. And Thunderbolt is really unfortunate. We get it Paralyzed is really nice. And you don't go down here, so that's nice as well. You should be able to pick up a kill and do quite a bit to Ho-Oh. Or he does go for Protect, but you should be able to kill Ho-Oh here.
Yeah.
Thankfully. Oh, but you missed right from
So that would have killed.
Yeah.
Like every day of the week. If that hit, that would have killed it. And then that also gives me an extra hit on Dialga with the Calyrex, depending on whatever happens, because Tailwind is still up,
Yeah.
so there's not really a ton that he can do into.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that Protect worked. Sorry, I have Urshifu and Iron Boulder.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Um, but yeah,
you're
that was a good
you're so
Protect.
special.
And that Draco miss is brutal. I mean, now Cali goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Before
Yeah.
you are -2 and you are down Great Tusk, but you have a Raging Bolt still who's 100% healthy. Somewhat
Yeah.
Tornadus is a little bit low, but he's still a great support mon. Calyrex is existing, and so as long as he's on the field, then he can
Mm-hmm.
outspeed everything and kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would have been in a good spot. Even if
Yeah.
with a shift into a shift into Shiftry, he's still
Mm-hmm.
a little
Yes.
bit out of a spot. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is quite unfortunate. It puts you really on the back pedal here, and you go for a sunny day, not like a bleak wind, to kill Ho-Oh and get Dialga lower so that Thunderbolt can kill.
I wasn't sure if it was gonna kill. I think I ran the calc. I wasn't sure
I
if it
think
killed
Bleak Wind
Ho
and
there.
Thunderbolt should kill Dialga doubling up, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, you had Weather Ball. Weather Ball would have killed for sure if you doubled up with
Yeah.
Bleak Wind. And you do die to a Flash Cannon here, so now at this
Mm-hmm.
point it is pretty much game. You can kill one of the two, probably. But
Yeah.
yeah. Even if you Terra there, it wouldn't have mattered because he has your Terra Fairy, I believe. And he's Flash Cannon. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is game 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that Draco meteor really just like that miss just really just put the nail in the coffin. And I was like, okay, yeah, this
That's
game's
brutal. I mean,
over.
90% accurate. You in
Mm-hmm.
VGC, you run 90% accurate moves and 95% accurate moves, and even somewhat 85% accurate moves, and you think they're gonna hit every time. Like besides Precipice Blades, I guess like the 85% accurate moves, like you can expect those to miss a little bit more, but 95%
Yeah.
accurate moves, you want them to hit every time.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't, then that really hurts.
Yeah.
So I think
So
honestly,
that was not fun for me.
if you had Weatherballed, that would have made a lot more sense into the Ho-Oh, because then if he switches into Shifter, you kill. Or even if he doesn't, you still kill, and you don't get a special attack drop, so you're not as out of position. But again, like
this was out of that at that point. It was
out of
still
sun.
out of it was still out of sun.
Weatherball would have been ideal, but you can't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate. But moving on to game 2, let's see how you adapt.
Yeah. So here I changed it up and then quit. So right here, I was literally hovering over Rage Powder, but then I was like, oh, he probably doesn't really have anything that does enough into Calyrex to just body it. So I didn't click Rage Powder instead. I clicked Sleep Powder, and then this happened.
Yeah, but I mean, I would expect Scarf Landorus, but I don't know if that kills with like Earth Power. But he does go for Crunch, so
yeah.
And Sleep Powder misses.
And Sleep Powder missed, and I was
really
and then I was like, bruh. At this point, I was like, okay, it's already over.
That's And then Sacred Fire does pick up the kill, so that's probably the worst way you could start. And then you do switch into Landorus. I guess that's fine. And a very safe play by Amladude, and I believe you're not Scarf, so you're not locked into Sludge Bomb, but still you're not in a great spot. And if he reads this switch, he's just playing very passively at this point. Just extremely.
Yeah.
And then, he does read your plays quite well here.
At this point, I was like, there's already no chance. So I wasn't really like. Here, I was essentially just making moves because I knew it was already over. Because Landorus and a Raging Bolt are not gonna like. They couldn't do enough damage by themselves to to
I
get.
mean, you should
kill
outspeed
everything,
and
so.
be able to get 1 kill for your differential at least, unless he protects. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does life do as well. That's just toxic at that point. I mean, not really, but it makes sense. But it's just, and you go for Earth Power instead of Sludge Bomb, but it doesn't matter again. So
Yeah. So that game there was really nothing I could do after the crunch. So, and that was another thing I was really annoyed about because if I'd won that first game by like hitting the Draco and then like and then winning that like that sort of end game, I would have because I didn't realize that it was faster because it was when Landris was on the field, Tailwind was up.
yeah, but
So
I would
so
also
I couldn't tell that it
expect
was
Scarf
scarfed.
Landorus. To be fair, Scarf Landorus is extremely common. I mean, Life Orb and Scarf are like probably or almost definitely the
Yeah,
two most
because
common items
when
on
like
Landorus.
typically when I've typically seen Life Orb, and I just didn't recognize that it didn't have Life Orb on it. So that was
Yeah, it's
just
all
a
good. I mean, you can't.
miss.
It's hard to expect.
That was a
Spike,
missight.
or sorry, it's hard to expect
Yeah.
Scarf, but I would say like it is a reasonable thing to be prepared for. But yeah, either way, it is quite tough.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, and the fact you did only get 2 kills was unfortunate. Let's move on to Cromp versus Wah. Wah subbing in for Bosi again, and he did make, in my opinion, some quite significant improvements to the team. But Snarl comes up right away, honestly. I think that is a great play. He just really shut down that damage. Dynamax Cannon still doing a lot, but it would have killed. And then Psychic Fangs. Necrozma Duskmane, I believe, has like 150 something attack, which is ridiculous. But just insane damage onto Eternatus, just Okoing immediately. And then a Will-O-Wisp on Necrozma is actually quite good. I think that was a good play. Not a great trade, but, you know, not a bad play.
Wait, Psychic Fangs has boosted crit chance, right? But it's
No.
not.
It just breaks,
it
breaks Reflect and Light Screen.
Because that did crit.
Yeah, I was. I don't think
So
it mattered.
that was
Actually, it might have mattered, but
yeah.
it's still insanely strong.
It
and super
depends on
effective and stab, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, it depends
I
on.
think it
I
does,
think
though.
it would probably depend on like the probably HP and then defense stats.
I'm sure Watt has the calcs because he always pulls up calcs for everything.
Yeah.
But I think it does kill either way. This would be my guess, but maybe it's a roll. I don't know. Snarl comes out and makes that Weezing even weaker, but he lives the Psychic Fangs thanks to that the Will-O-Wisp. And the poison on the Walking Wake is huge because now he does go down. Actually, maybe it's not huge because bundled out speeds anyways, but still. Terra Fairy on the Flutter will actually eat that, surprisingly, and will kill both. The Deagling. At this point, it is Kyurem versus the world in front of a Flutter Mane, which is not ideal, but he just gets fusion nuked. Psychic Fangs won't do a whole lot, and that's only neutral, so I think a steel attack would have made more sense, but wow, he actually does go down as well, so Crydon can probably pick up the kill, but yeah, Crydon can kill here, but oh, Kyurem does outspeed, so either a slow Crydon or a Scarf Kyurem. I would imagine it's Scarf Kyurem between the two, but yeah, dang.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that he did use Fusion Flare 3 times in a row probably suggests that
he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't have
scarfed.
used that into Koradon, so that's 100% scarfed. Because he would have used any Ice or Dragon type attack. But let's see how Watt adjusts for game 2, because it's actually not a poor game by him. But Regieleki Flutter Mane, very interesting lead. And Iron Bundle is feeling a little pressure from Regieleki here. Except it does actually now outspeed thanks to the booster energy, so we'll see how things turn out. I'm expecting like an Electro Web, yeah. Doesn't make a lot of sense. And Eternatus can get off a big attack in Regieleki. Or Sludge Bomb. One thing to consider, Sludge Bomb is only neutral in the Flutter Mane because it is a ghost type as well. So if you could kill Regieleki, that'd be huge. But it's not a bad play by any means. And now Sludge Bomb makes a lot of sense because he's He's Terra Fairy, even though Terra Fairy also doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless he actually doesn't make any sense in my opinion, because you're not going to kill Eternatus either way with your Deaglium. So I don't really understand this play super well. I mean, you do 23% now, but that's still pretty negligible damage for Eternatus. And then Fluttermane does go down, so it's now Wheezing and Walking Wake coming in. Eerie Impulse is great tech on Eternatus, who's now very crippled. And can still kill Regieleki, obviously, because he's low. Or sorry, Wheezing can, but he's just 65% to Walking Wake at -2 without a crit. That's impressive damage. Eternatus is very strong. And Walking Wake is not particularly bulky. Super effective at stab. It's 100 base power, 100% accurate attack. But still -5, or sorry, times 0.5 is not ideal. Also, apparently, according to Wa, if it is 252 HP Eternatus, then which it probably was, he probably knows his calcs, or knows his stuff, the first crit did matter. So, that's unfortunate. Game 1. But let's see game 2, how Cromp can claw this back. He's actually not in a horrible spot, but I think this is... He already revealed Dragon Claw, I believe, game 1. He did, so he must have been expecting a switch on Eternatus here. And Eternatus can get off a powerful Dynamax Cannon and kill Walking Wake, so it's now Koraidon versus the world. You might want to switch Eternatus here, or let him go down, and Wheezing can burn Koraidon, that works as well, because he already committed the Terra to Fluttermane, even though it might not be Terra Fire.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, it's already over, so...
Yeah, because Kyurem is now Scarf coming in, and there, again, is no Terra, and Koraidon's burned on top of all of that, so... Really just kind of a guaranteed win for Wa, which is a testament to his play. I mean, we saw him kind of come out of nowhere. He subbed in for Bosi, who was 0-5, but I believe he only played 2 games or 3 games. So Wa really putting up fights here, making Cromp, who I believe has the strongest base team. Excluding coaching, I think if we should look at all the teams, Cromp is the strongest team in the league. In my opinion, and he just beat him in opposing weather as well, so quite impressive. And let's look at this game 3. Necrozma Fluttermane, a lot of offense versus Ninetales Eternatus, so AV can come out and add a lot of bulk, and a switch to try and shut down that AV. It does make a lot of sense. Wheezing comes out, but it is a little bit too little, too late. Also, it is Ability Shield Koraidon we see, which is really cool. Oh my god, Wa is a genius. Wait, sorry, let's rewatch this. Wa is a genius. He leads Necrozma Fluttermane versus, and it's Ninetales Eternatus, right? So he switches into Koraidon, right? Which, that's bad for Wa, because now he can't set up AV, right? And he's out of position. The weather's up. He has the wrong weather up. He's like, oh no, right? This is not great. But he switches Eternatus into Wheezing, right? Who's gonna die from a Psychic Fangs, right? So he dies to Psychic Fangs. Actually, maybe he lived and wasn't expecting that. But even if this is unintentional genius, it's still genius, because now that Wheezing goes down to Psychic Fangs, Snow Warning comes out, and even if Koraidon didn't have the Ability Shield, it would still be faster, or a Calcum Pulse would go first, and it wouldn't reset this weather. So Ninetales is able to set back up the snow. I don't know if that was intentional or not. I would assume it's not, but either way, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And so now Wa has the weather up in front of this Koraidon and the Necrozma, which are still 2 incredibly powerful Pokemon. Koraidon can Terra Fire and do a lot of damage. But if AV can come up here, then, I mean, he's in a much better spot.
Because AV came up before...
It didn't come up.
It would have came up before Necrozma used Psychic Fangs, so it won't be able to this turn, but it can come up sooner, though.
And then Eternatus does come right back out, which is kind of surprising, because Psychic Fangs is still a threat, and Dragon Claw as well. But A Protect on Crowd means AV can come up for free. And a Flamethrower does not a ton. And Weakness Policy Necrozma. It's naturally quite bulky, but...
Yeah. I was a little bit confused by Cromp not just going for the Ninetales, assuming that AV is going to come out.
Well, the thing is, Psychic Fangs breaks that. So if you kill Eternatus here, which you do now that you're +2.
Yeah, true.
Because of weakness. I mean, I don't know if he assumed that, but he probably just assumed that he would be able to break the AV at least. So.
Well, I mean,
conserve.
He still could have probably just OHKO'd it if he had some sort of like Flare Blitz or.
Yeah, I mean, he could have.
So that was my thinking.
He does have Flare Blitz. We've seen. Ninetales does also have double the bulk in snow, so maybe he's concerned that he doesn't OHKO, but I think he should because Ninetales is not super bulky.
Yeah, it's not that bulky. I would know.
Huron now comes out and really threatens, but the problem is the switch in a Walking Wake means he can still hit him with a pretty super effective dragon move. I would expect. Oh, Fusion Flare comes out instead. If that were a Dragon Pulse, that would have been really bad, or not really bad, but it would have been worse. And Crowdon is able to reset the weather, and now Ninetales is on the field forever, and so weather can't be changed here. Walking Wake does Terra, and Fusion Flare comes out, maybe because that he thought it would do more damage.
Well, also because he's also Scarfed.
He was probably expecting. So. Oh yeah, sorry. Duh. And then Ninetales will go down to Flower Blitz here, so it's a little unfortunate. For Wa, I felt like he maybe had a chance there, but really can't blame him for making the plays he did. And Crop did just play incredibly, honestly. So also the offense of this team is so potent that you could the 5-turn game is like not even super crazy. Also, Wa again with the calcs, Ninetales does tank a Flare Blitz in snow, so that's why he did not just go for it. Because the defense is double or increased by 1.5. And he probably was. It was a 252 HP Ninetales. So it was a little bit more of a defensive Ninetales. So, yeah. It was still a great game on both ends. I like the prep. And I think that just the sheer offense on both sides was kind of nice. The weakness policy was really cool. Worked very well for Cromp. Anyways, let's move to OK versus SMB. I don't remember who won this one, actually. Let's get into it. Cleavor and Slitherwing, two unusual bug types, versus a very standard of Lunala and Indeedee. And Terra Fairy off rip and follow me, so Indeedee can tank this attack. And it is a double up, or a double attack, rather, to kill Indeedee, which is actually ideal for OK. He gets a free Trick Room up and a free switch in a Conkeldurr. Who probably protects, yeah. And Slitherwing might eat a Meteor Beam here. But it goes for Giratina and it misses, so that's really unfortunate. And Slitherwing does switch out, in fact. Which gives an Intimidate on Conkeldurr, but Conkeldurr is now also burned. So Ice Punch, wow, Ice Punch actually crucially does not kill because of that Intimidate, which is crazy. That Intimidate is huge there, and Moonblast does a lot as well, but both mons do survive. Poltergeist comes out into Lunala. He probably just forgot that Power Orb was already consumed, but not a great play. And then Earthquake comes out with Telepathy to do a decent bit, but nothing super impressive. Nothing to write home about. And now, that was a misclick, and so he goes for Double Protect to stall Trick Room turns, which makes sense, honestly. But it's hard to see that you don't just lose things here. The Anniversary gets knocked off and does die. And a Moonblast on a Slitherwing is still super effective, so it does also die. And so now, even though you have two Pokemon left, I mean, Cleavor is not the strongest thing in the world, and Giratina is at 29%. Shadow Force also is interesting. I mean, this one turn you'll be able to attack without being hit because you outspeed it and you underspeed. But that's kind of it. Cleavor can go for a Stone Axe and a Torkoal, which is nice. Pick up a kill if it does go for that, but instead it's kind of a mismatch of a Shadow Force and Stone Axe into the wrong slot because of the switch.
Yeah, so here he should kill here, and then Guillotine is kind of a sitting.
It is game over, yeah.
It's a sitting duck right now, so.
And yeah, that is game over. I don't.
Yeah, that crit might have. Well, because of the burn, it probably still does enough.
Yeah, I don't think it matters, honestly. Also, yeah, I don't think it matters. But either way, it was a pretty good win from OK here. I think the first turn couldn't have gone a little more ideally. I think turn 2 you really, or turn 3 I guess, you really expect that Ice Punch to kill Landorus. I mean, it's 4 times super effective, and you're burned with Facade. Or with Guts, sorry. So, and there's no way you expect that. Even at -1, you expect that to OHKO Landorus. Or I would, at least. So that is quite shocking. It might reveal that it is a bulky Landorus. Or maybe the calcs just don't lie, but I really think that means it's a defensive Landorus. And moving on to game 2, we can see how OK adjusts, even though he did win that. And more importantly, how SMB adjusts. We see a Rishram bring, which was not brought game 1. I wonder if Rillaboom will be there to shut down the Psychic Terrain or not. I'm kind of curious. Blue Fairy does quite a bit, and X Scissor. I think, honestly, you're expecting a Follow Me anyways. So Stone Axe makes a lot of sense because you set up the spikes for Torkoal or whoever just to take some nice damage. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes
Torkoal
more
was taking
sense.
a quarter of its health here, making that eruption significantly weaker. This is good for Protect, though. And Giratina, well, might eat a Meteor Beam here, yeah, but he only takes 35%, which is reasonable because Meteor Beam is not the strongest attack. It was hitting neutrally, not without stab. And a kill on Cleavor is kind of nice, but Giratina is able to go for a Shadow Force into one of these two. Rishram can get doubled down pretty easily, though. It's the only thing, and Rishram does actually die from that, so that is quite unfortunate. Giratina only does 14%. Wow.
Yeah.
So Shadow Force is really not the play here. I mean, it's
especially because
maybe, but that's kind of it.
Well, especially because you're spending 2 turns into a full HP Lunala, so it still has the Shadow Shield up.
Yeah.
And it's already Terra'd. So it's not going to do a ton already.
We'll see what this last is. It is Landorus. It's an Intimidate, which is kind of irrelevant. And then a double Protect Assault, the lesser Trick Room does make a lot of sense. And now out of Trick Room, actually things are not over for SMB because Trick Room is now up, and EQ is quite a bit here. Protect on Torkoal makes a lot of sense, and if Lunala can die here, then this is crucial, but instead it's a Poltergeist and a Torkoal, and Trick Room comes up, and now things are looking bad all of a sudden again for SMB, who will not go for double Protect actually. He'll eat that Eruption, and Moongeist, and it is now likely game over. Because Eruption does bring it down to 2%, so Moongeist does kill. So that will be game. Lunala is incredibly strong, and after this game, and I think even before this game, fun fact, OK now has the Mon with the most kills out of any Pokemon. By far the MVP right now is Lunala. And the Mon with the most deaths, which is Indeedee.
That is very
has
funny.
14 deaths. It also has 1 kill, which is stopping it from being last on the MVP ranking because MVP
it's based on kills, not on deaths.
Yeah. It's based on kills. And deaths are a tiebreaker pretty much among kills. So if it had 0 kills, it would be technically last, but it has the lowest differential by quite a bit. And Lunala has by far the highest kill count. So yeah. Let's move on to our final match, which is Eternum versus TBL. very heavy Trick Room lead here. Either one could really click Trick Room, so it's kind of hard to guess. Switching to Ursaluna is kind of nice. It could work out quite well. Terra Blast was predicting a Terra Fairy, and he did not go for it, so that actually could be a misplay by a Turnum here. And a taunt into what is now the Ursaluna, so free Trick Room. Actually, quite a good turn for TBL. If the tournament had gone for the more standard play, it would have worked out better. Only problem is you're now susceptible. Like, it's really hard to shut down this lead because you have 2 Trick Room threats. You can Oko one if you can read the Terra. So like if you read correctly that he does or doesn't Terra, you can Oko the Necrozma. And the Porygon you can potentially kill with a Sacred Sword, but probably not. So it's really kind of hard to shut down a Trick Room coming up with this lead, especially with Mewtwo and Shenpao being the 2 lead. I think if it's Zamazenta, maybe it's a little easier because you can body press into the P2, but the P2 I think is Terra Ghost, or no, it's Terra Dark. So actually that would work quite well. If you just go for like Crunch or whatever, and body press, but then you're open to a Terra, and so you have to really read that Terra correctly. So hard to say.
Yeah.
So we will see how he is able to use this. He does Oko Mewtwo, which is kind of expected, but still quite strong. And Mewtwo Beam should Oko as well. It does. Now TBL's in a great spot actually. The tournament got on the back foot with 2 months left and Trick Room up and 4 months left on TBL's side. Headlong Rush into a Protect does make a lot of sense, but it is a double, so it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. And Low Kick does Oko Ursaluna. If there were a Facade on Dragonite, that would have been nice, but multi-scale probably would have let it live, in my opinion. Reasonable play there. And P2 does come out and can probably Ice Beam. Yeah, it does just over half. It gets a Freeze, which could be crucial. And Moongeist does well over half, or just over half. Snarl comes out, which could be big, but they're now both down to neutral. So Porygon does pick up the kill, and Lunala barely does not. But this just, or Necrozma barely does not. But Necrozma does go down here, and it's game over anyways. Unfortunately. So
yeah,
those last few turns felt like it could have maybe gone in a tournament's favor, but most of the game felt pretty dominant by TBL, which is, quite a turnaround because I believe, he did get Fields of Punishment last week, and I believe he's had 1 to 2 other Fields of Punishments in previous weeks. So seeing him, play so well, game 1 is quite inspiring. Let's see if he's able to hold it up for game 2 as well. I love the nicknames on the tournament side, especially don't abbreviate on Shenpao. It makes me laugh every time. A Sacred Sword does just over half to Porygon 2, and an Imprison is huge because it stops the Trick Room on either end. I think he did learn that that has to be the play, honestly. That's the only real way to shut down Trick Room on this team. And also, something that is crazy is 30% from a super effective Shadow Ball. This shows that it's a very bulky P2, and really not focused on that special attack. And Drifloon might be specially defensive as well. It's hard to say. I'm going to imagine it because a lot of these threats to it are special attackers. The only real physical one is Ursaluna, which can't hit it with either of its stabs. So it would make a lot of sense to be specially defensive, especially if it's going for Imprison. So it does seal the Trick Room too, which is huge. Goes for Protect just to, stop that Trick Room altogether. And though TBL gets a free switch into Ursaluna, Fergraph does go down. And it's now a half health Porygon 2, a burned Ursaluna, and whoever's in the back versus 2 quite healthy Mons and 2 others in the back, and no Trick Room. So it is a little bit worse of a spot.
That and Shenpao's about to just bonk Ursaluna on the forehead.
Yeah, I mean, Shenpao can pick who he wants to kill. If he expects to protect an Ursaluna, he can go for P2. But either way, Drifloon is quite a good spot here. So switch into Primarina and a Helping Hand Throat Chop into Ursaluna. I think he was expecting a switch into Necrozma Dawnwings.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense because otherwise you just would have gone for.
That's my guess, because if he switches into Necrozma, then a Sacred Sword does nothing, and he's able to P2 is able to get off a free Shadow Ball or Ice Beam into Drifblim, right? Not ideal. But I think we know that Drifblim can already tank a attack, even if he's at -1 Spit F. So if you attack into the wrong slot with Chen Pao, it's still not worst case. It's still not terrible. Um, I think this was a good turn overall by TBL, and not a bad turn overall. Switching P2 out, because like if you're expecting a Sacred Sword, it's just kind of he's getting in a Turnum's head is really what it feels like here. Like the not switching, like just not clicking anything on Ursaluna, or like just clicking a normal attack on Ursaluna. It's a very risky play, but a Turnum doesn't punish it with a Sacred Sword because he's scared of either a switch in one of these two guys, which Throat Chop of Primarina works well too to stop the Hyper Voice. Or maybe it's the Skeleturge, or maybe it's not a Necrozma, but either way, any of the potential switch-ins are quite good for TBL, and a Protect would be good. So he kind of gets in his head a little bit there. And Ursaluna goes for an Ice Punch, which does 70% to Drifblim and picks up the kill, though Aftermath puts Ursaluna down to die from Burn Chip. So that is important as well. It is now P2 and Primarina versus Chen Pao and Dragonite, and it feels hard to stop Porygon 2 from going down immediately to a Sacred Sword here, but we'll see. Instead, it's a Poison Terra Blast to Oko Primarina, and a low kick onto P2. So yeah,
Either way, it didn't matter.
I think that actually was the best play. I mean, I thought it might have been a misplay if with low kick there, but either way, it's still probably the best play. Just kill Primarina, the only real threat left. But with low kick, it's 100% the correct play. I mean, just kill both, and yeah, it worked quite well. I don't think even with protects, it would have been game over. So let's see how these next two play. I mean, Zamazenta has not done a whole lot in the set, but speaking of the devil, he is here right now. Versus Necrozma, so we have 3 restricteds on the field. Actually, all of the restricteds in this match on the field off rip, but a switch immediately. And an Oko of Moongeist Beam on a Mewtwo. So this is a pretty bold play. If we look at just this situation, 2 Ghost types versus a Psychic, a Turnum chooses to switch out and click Taunt and just accept the Ghost type attacks. He doesn't switch at all. That Mewtwo slot or Terra it, which is Terra Fairy. So that's quite surprising that he just doesn't. He just is okay with eating those attacks. I mean, it's a little bold.
And I mean, it's like.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I mean, Wash just who's that? TBL is just completely okay with even though Torch Song does nothing into Dragonite, it literally just
it breaks multi-scale
really
and
does not
special attack boost.
Exactly. He really does not care that much about the damage. He cares more about the payoffs that's going to give him the long run because. One, now Dragonite's open to taking a lot of extra damage from any mon that comes out in the future. But now Skeleturge it also has the special attack boost, and it's just helpful. It makes him more of a threat, and especially alongside Necrozma, the Chen Pao really has to focus on one of those mons, and the other one's probably going to do some significant damage.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what I was about to say. Chen Pao is really kind of stuck here because he doesn't know who to attack. And Necrozma is taunted, so he can't set up a Trick Room. But that doesn't mean he can't get off quite a powerful attack on one of these two guys. Either a Meteor Beam, which would kill Chen Pao, or a Moongeist, which should do a lot to Dragonite. But Skeleturge could also Torch Song or Shadow Ball as well. So really, they're both quite big threats. And there could be a switch, you never know. So Chen Pao has to decide on who to attack here. It is a switch to P2. And it is a Terra Poison. If he reads this, it's going to be huge. But it's a Terra Poison Terra Blast into the wrong slot because he was expecting a Terra Fairy on Necrozma, not on Skeleturge. So almost a great play, but still not a poor play necessarily as long as he lives. And Outrage does pick up a kill on Porygon 2, but Skeleturge gets a free Torch Song which does not kill. So that's kind of crucial because now Chen Pao can just Oko Skeletor, which I do believe, or close to it. Protect Ursaluna to get the burn makes a lot of sense, and now Outrage cannot do anything. Also, a Terra Blast does not kill on Skeleturge, and he eats the Citrus Berry, so he's able to pick up a kill on Chen Pao here, which is crucial because now it's Zamazenta and Dragonite versus TVL's 3 Mons, and including a burned Ursaluna. If Charisma comes back out and a Protect on Zamazenta makes a lot of sense, but if it's a Facade into Dragonite, it's an Ice Punch, and now Dragonite does go down, so that he read that Protect very well. And
now it's essentially just Zamazenta versus the world, and he really can't do a ton about it, especially with that Facade Ursaluna just vibing right there.
I think also the switch into Necrozma is actually a great switch in my opinion, because now Ursaluna won't be hit with that Outrage, because Skeleturge, if he's a Fairy type, the Outrage will automatically redirect into Ursaluna, I believe. But instead, it will go for the Necrozma. I don't know if that's entirely right, but I believe that is true. But either way, if you know it can live a choice banded Outrage, then which it can because it is quite bulky apparently. Then this is a great play. I mean, Zamazenta could have body pressed the Ursaluna, right? And in which case this play becomes significantly worse. But you do have your Skeleturge in the back, who is quite strong still, and it. To be fair, it is probably game over, or it is very hard for TBL to come back. But reading that Protect was great, especially because I believe he had protected in game 1 and in a kind of somewhat crucial moment. And so if you can read that Protect, like TBL did perfectly, that was great play. Body Press does come out on Ursaluna, but doesn't kill. So actually, even if he hadn't protected on Zamazenta, then Ursaluna is still able to pick up the kill, and it's Necrozma and Skeleturge and Ursaluna versus Zamazenta. Zamazenta can only kill one at a time, so he's in a much worse spot. But instead, it will just be an Ursaluna live and a Headlong Rush to seal the deal for TBL.
Yeah, that was just a really, really good last game for TBL. Like
Yeah,
that was impressive.
Very well played, honestly. Also, Wa is confirming that Outrage is a random target, so it's not a guarantee into the Necrozma, but it would have been a guarantee into the Ursaluna, I believe. I don't think I believe Outrage is like somewhat smart targeting, and like it won't target Fairy types if it can help it. But I don't know if that's accurate. Gyno Dragon Darts is 100% like that, but I don't think Outrage may or may not be. But either way, you give your. It's not a horrible switch, is what I'm trying to say. But you do set yourself up for a win if you're TBL. I think that was quite a good game, and there was a little bit of like reading going on. I think Eternum just kind of really second guessed himself, but TBL did play pretty well overall as well. So, with all of the matches being done, Charcoal, do you have a favorite for Fields of Punishment? As a reminder, our matchups were Trippy versus Nick. We had It's Just Me versus me. It's Just Me versus me. You versus Amladude. Cromp versus Wa. SMB versus OK. And finally, Eternum versus TBL.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the games that I saw, like, no one did like particularly horribly. I think honestly, I think if I were to like, I wouldn't probably single anyone else out except for maybe myself.
It did feel partial like RNG,
but
like
part of it was RNG. That game too. Well, the reason why I would also kind of argue for myself is because some of that was RNG, and then some of that I literally just could not do anything. So,
yeah,
but
I think it definitely
So
was
I
a
don't even
miss, but
know.
game two
I
felt
don't
less
even know what it
RNG.
would be.
It
Well,
was the better
again,
miss, but still.
there was nothing I could do after Calyrex got demolished, and then um after Calyrex and Jump Left both went down turn one. There was nothing I can really do. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't single anyone else out. So
Yeah, I don't think again there's anyone, or like you said, I don't think there's anyone that I really would say is deserving of Fields of Punishment. If I had to go with anyone, I would probably go with you though. Um, for some of the reasons, and I feel like RNG. We can say that RNG did play a big factor. But it was only two rolls, and they were both unlucky rolls. Like a 10% and a 25% is quite unlucky, especially that 10%. But those were the only real two rolls from what I can remember. There were RNG.
well,
The rest,
it's I like the sleep powder didn't really matter that much
yeah. So it was really just
in
that
that game. In that
90%
game, is
miss.
because it really couldn't do anything. But that was a big role in the first game. So
It was really,
that's why I was.
it was really just this Draco miss, but that was the one RNG
Yeah.
related thing. I mean,
Mm,
that did,
mhm.
make things worse, but you weren't guaranteed to win if you would killed that
Yeah,
too. It would have been a closer match,
it would have been closer,
but
but like
I think you still might
but
have
it really didn't
lost.
matter.
I
Yeah,
mean, I would have probably bet on you losing that game one either way. So, and I think the play overall was just, especially game two, even though it didn't really matter, you were just kind of like, he was reading you like a book every single time, and it felt like you were just kind of playing right into his hand. You attacked him to protect frequently. His terras got you significant. Like a lot of the time, his switches were great into you, and I think that's partially him, you know, playing well, and it's partially you just not anticipating his actions.
yeah.
So
Well, there I had already in game two at least I'd already given up at that point. So I
yeah,
was like,
but I
yeah,
mean,
there's
if you
nothing I
look,
can really do.
here, you taunted Ho turn one first of all, but
This is game one.
yeah, I know. So like, I'm just gonna do it quickly, but you taunt Hoa, which is not a great play, and you brick break into the Landorus, which again, if you weren't expecting the switch, but then you eat a Sacred Fire, so like you're now in a significantly worse spot. You close combat again, so you're just using flying type attacks or fighting type attacks to this flying type, and let one of your best attackers go down. And then in this situation, also again the taunt on Ho didn't really do anything. Didn't expect this switch here, or the Terra either, because you go for a Thunderbolt into the Ho and do get a para, which doesn't end up mattering much, but at all. But it's still not a great situation. And then the Draco miss was unfortunate, but it just didn't feel like great play. I mean, you're able to pick up that kill, but then you just kind of go down, and then it's kind of game over from there. So I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
guess.
partially because there's not anyone else that sticks out, and partially just because of the overall poor play, I would probably lean towards you. But what would you think?
I mean, I'd probably say the same. Just because there's no one else that really sort of same thing with you. There was no one else that really just stood out as not doing well.
And I give myself Elysium 1 week, because there was no one else who, partially because no one else really stood out, and partially because I do think I did play pretty well. And I think it's kind of a similar situation here. It's like partially because there's no one else, and partially because you didn't play very well. But yeah, I would lean towards you for that Field of Punishment.
Yeah, okay.
And with that being said, do you have anyone for Elysium? Good reminders. We have
Yeah.
Nick, who won 2-0. We have me, who won 2-1. We have Amla, who won 2-0. Cromp, who won 2-1. Okay, who won 2-0. And TBL, who won 2-1. I mean, you can't also do a loser, but I typically lean towards the winners.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I mean, like I really just like and you can tell me if you think there's someone who like really stood out to you more. But I think going from because I believe you said he was Fields punishment last week. TBL had a real like a great, especially that final game, even though like it wasn't like dominant across the board because he still did drop one game. I think TBL did do a really good job in that to close out that series that set.
My only concern is how he did make a few plays that felt like a little careless, or felt like it was just kind of a turn of reading things wrong. Like here, he Terra poisoned, Terra blasted. So he read the Terra, which
That well,
incorrectly. So that's more of a misplay
that's a
on a
turn.
tournament's part.
That's a oh yeah.
That's not really TB. Like a turner misreads it, and that's the reason that this play works for TBL so well, is because it's just kind of a poor play on a tournament's part, and again, like the taunt. So he does have a few moments like that where I think on this turn where he not this turn, sorry, this turn where he helping hand throat chops the Ursa Luna as well, and not this turn. So he did win that game, but also on this turn where he expects a Terra on Necrozma when it's a Terra on Skeleturge. So I think there are a few, or if not several, moments that where a Turnham kind of makes predictions, like slightly bolder predictions, and they don't pay off, and that's kind of why TBL's plays work out. But I would agree that TBL did play great. I want to like look through and other people's just quickly, but I do think TBL is definitely a contender. I think Nick did play pretty well. He ran a kind of straightforward strategy and it worked, but I don't think he played phenomenally by any means. He just kind of played, did what he
Yeah.
should against Drippy, which is just bring strong offense, and it worked very well for him. Um, I think I played well, but game one was quite horrible. So I should rule myself up for that alone. I think the rest two games, if this were a 2-0 win and it was just these two games, I think I would, deserve Elysium. But I think including this game one, I definitely am out of contention because it was not only a 4-0 loss, it was quite a poor play on my part throughout the whole thing. I mean, I had the tools, as you could tell from the next games 2 and 3. I can shut down Groudon. I can, work around Whimsicott, but I just didn't do anything that I was supposed to. So I don't think I should be considered. I don't think Ameladude should be considered super well, partially because you didn't play very well, and also partially because he didn't do anything super special. He ran pretty standard sets on everything. He did, read you quite well, but you were going for very standard stuff the whole time, pretty much. And you had some moves like Great Tusk didn't have anything into Landorus, so like if when he switched in Landorus in front of him, like it's a safe play. So Wah versus Cromp, I think Cromp did play pretty well overall, but he did get a little lucky with that crit game one. Did lose game two, 2-0, which, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I feel like it wasn't as dominant, and Wah really made him like earn it. So I don't think Cromp would be my go-to. And OK actually did play pretty well for the most part, but it was also partially SNB not playing super well. SNB is someone also to consider for Fields of Punishment, but I think it wasn't as bad. I feel like he just kind of wasn't able to get his offense going as much, and it was also just generally good play by OK. So I would kind of looking over everyone else. I think TBL probably would be my answer as well. For Elysium, I think again there were a few moments where Eternum did not play as well. But TBL played great. I think some of the key moments of this victory was this turn one lead. Seeing that it was a Mewtwo Shenpao lead, Chen Pao is forced to read the Terra or not read the Terra. Um, and there's no way to stop both of these guys from clicking Trick Room. So you get a free switch in Ursaluna on one of these guys, even if he doesn't expect that necessarily. Um, he can't stop one of these guys from clicking Trick Room, and it's impossible pretty much to guess which will be that guy, or it's very hard to guess. So he kind of forces turn him into this mind game. Turn one, game one, which is like great because you're forcing your opponent to make bold predictions off of not knowing your play, and as a set goes on, you can kind of like gauge if someone is likes clicking protect a lot, or like they like to be more aggressive, or like to switch a lot. Like there's certain tendencies you can pick up, but game one or turn one, game one, you come in with very little knowledge of how your opponent plays, so it's kind of hard to make your opponent make those reads so early on. And it really does pay off. I mean, we can see that he's able to get an Oko on a Mewtwo, which is huge, and on Shen Pao, so he's just in an immediately winning position. And he's able to, even though he does double into a Protect here and loses Ursula, and I was like, oh, things like might be looking like bad. Porygon does have Ice Beam, and so it really is game over. I mean, the freeze is unfortunate, but it would have been game over anyways. Seeing him go down. And low kick into Porygon 2 wouldn't have done nearly as much. So it's kind of like an outrage. Or actually, he's choice in the low kick, so it wouldn't have killed Porygon 2. So I feel like I think game 1 was very well played by TBL overall. Game 2, it was definitely felt like he couldn't get the offense going as much just because of Imprison. It really shut him down. And the throat chop Oko was rough. Ursaluna in a worse spot. This turn was the only turn where it felt like a turn made a pretty poor play because it led to TBL getting some momentum. But I think the Ice Punch was really cool tech as well. It's not just crazy, but it's nice, and I like that bring by him. Some people run very standard Ursalunas. Very tempting too. He does get quite out offense here. And outside of Trick Room, he's not really. And without Ursaluna, it's hard to get that offense going. But I think game 3, he more than made up for it with, again, forcing him. Like here, he is forced to make the same mind games with Mewtwo. And then on the next turn, now that Necrozma is taunted, you know that he can't go for Trick Room. But Shen Pao is forced to make some mind games. And where was it? Here. At this point, the game's already won for TBL at turn 5, so or after turn 4. So TBL does play pretty great throughout. I think partially also coming from Fields of Punishment last week, and maybe the last 2. I can't remember, but I know that he has had Fields of Punishment multiple times this season, and so he's not a bad player by any means, as we can see here, but he was not playing to the best of his ability, and here this is him playing very well. Whether or not a tournament made a few reads wrong, TBL still had a very solid chance of winning this set. So I think I have no reserves giving it to TBL. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, especially coming off of a Fields of Punishment last week, I think that's definitely a really good turnaround. So
I mean, if you watch this match, you would never have guessed that he was the Field of Punishment last week.
yeah, exactly. Which is why that was like my first thought, because like across the board, I think everyone was pretty like everyone who's winning like it's kind of like the same thing as Fields of Punishment. There wasn't any like super standout thing because everyone made some sorry, everyone made some mistakes, but then had their
everyone made
moments.
good and bad plays.
But then like when you look at this and you compare it to like I obviously didn't see what happened last week, but obviously it was not nearly as good. So like
one of the main reasons why he got it last
definitely
week
a big jump.
It's because he clicked Protect on his Ursaluna when he was at like 5% or something. He was gonna die to Burn Chip, and he clicked Protect instead of attacking. And he was in Trick Room too. But either way, if Ursaluna is burned and he has 5% left, even if you're out of Trick Room, it's like. But he did play great this set. I think I be more than happy giving Elysium to TBL this week. So Truck 11, our co-commentator, unfortunately did get a Field of Punishment, but TBL got Elysium this week. So that's very cool. And now that we're at week 7, let's take a quick look at the these standings. Let's switch on over, and you can notice that I am.
You wanted me to run some math real quick?
Sure. Do you want to do it while I'm talking, or no? Or do you want to talk?
I mean, I can talk through some of the math if you want me to. It's your decision.
I think you can do the math while I'm talking, and then whenever you're ready, you can take it back over.
Okay, sounds good.
So you'll still notice that AMLO and I are both undefeated still. I have a cheese to undefeated record because I've only actually won 4 matches, and I had the other 3 be forfeit wins. I'm also plus 12. I mean, I've actually in my 4 matches I have dropped 2 rounds, but still it's not terrible. AMLO dude plus 11, and he's only had 1 forfeit win, I believe. So he has played very well. You can see his mind differential is incredibly high, and we are both guaranteed actually to be the top 2 spots. It's hard to say who will be 1 and who will be 2. It depends on our performances this upcoming week, but we will see about that. I will also be much busier, so I won't be able to stream next week. Someone else is gonna have to stream for me, and I'll have less time to prep, so it might influence the results. But either way, we are guaranteed to be the 1 and the 2, and Nick and Cromp are probably locked into their spots, unless Cromp loses and OK wins by enough. I think if Cromp loses 2-0 and OK wins at all, or if OK wins 2-1, or if OK wins 2-0 and Cromp loses 2-1, then that could swap. But Nick is comfortably in that 3rd or 4th spot, so he cannot be chosen as. The way we do it is
So this is can I say something real quick? This is actually really funny in my opinion. So Nick is guaranteed in the top 4 because he is playing okay, and that is because even though the only way for OK to be the only possible way for OK to be able to pass Nick would be if Nick forfeited and OK won 2-0 and also swept, so +8, so +8 Pokemon differential, and then won these tie breaks. But the thing is, because they're playing each other, if Nick forfeits, OK doesn't get any Pokemon differential, so he physically cannot pass Nick. So he can still pass Cromp, but Nick is officially locked into the top 4 because OK is the only person out of the top 4 that could pass him. So Nick's official. So you, Nick, and AMLO dude are already locked in for 3 of those top 4 spots. OK and Cromp are fighting for that last top 4 spot. And then in the bottom, there's still some weird stuff that could go on. Currently, SNB and I are going to be playing during week 8. So whichever one of us wins that will lock in one of those spots.
Is there a chance for TBL or Chippy to make it?
I'm pretty sure there's a chance.
Well, if you beat SNB or if SNB beats you, and then if It's Just Me loses, which he's playing AMLO, dude. I guess if SNB beats you, then if TBL or Trippy wins 2-0 and It's Just Me loses 0-2, then they will have a higher. Or if Trippy and It's Just Me tie, then Trippy does actually have the tiebreaker against It's Just Me.
Yeah. So like,
So
is it possible?
I
Yeah, like it
I
is possible,
I
but
think if It's Just Me loses 0-2
it's
and
hard.
Trippy wins 2-1, or if Trippy wins 2-0 and It's Just Me loses 1-2, then um then Trippy will make it over It's Just Me. But otherwise, It's Just Me will make it. A tournament I think is guaranteed to make it because you're playing SMB. I think he's guaranteed. Um,
Mm,
and then you and SMB is just whoever wins.
that's not entirely true. Hold on,
Well, if he
give me
loses
this.
2-0, then he's -4, right? And
Mhm.
if you beat SMB, then I guess if a
With
tournament
his
loses 0-2 and a SMB loses like
Yeah, so there it all depends on how much
1-2, I guess.
me or S&B wins by,
Have they played each other? Do you
because
know?
I do not know. I have zero clue, but it depends on what happens in me and S&B's game, or how much one of us wins by, because technically whoever loses, depending on all the other tie breaks and stuff going on and who wins or loses, whoever loses our game could still possibly make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just much hard. It's just much harder.
Also,
So
they have not played, so it would go down to kill differentials at that point, which they're very close at. So,
yeah.
um,
So it all just comes down to calcs. Like with me and SNB, odds are whoever wins is going to move on. Odds are whoever loses is not
yeah,
going to. Um, and then with like the possibility of TBL or Trippy making it on, it all depends on how well they play and how poorly
it's just me.
Eternum and It's Just Me play, or me or SNB.
Mm-hmm.
So it all depends on how what goes on with that. And I think it's still I think um they they might be there might be some matchups where it's with those two. So It's Just Me is playing AMLO dude. So who's like also undefeated. Um and a tournament Trippy are playing. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, it's hard. It's gonna be difficult. Like Waz already out, but that's mostly a credit to Bo- uh
Yeah, it's not his
to
fault.
Bosie. That's not his fault.
And Voids, I think,
Um
is out of it too, just because it's differential.
yeah, so
And Screwbad
I
as well.
mean I think because I think what happens is, like, even though a lot of these teams are really close, like I couldn't do all the calculations right now, but it's really hard. Like the lower you are, even though you might not be so much lower, so much extra stuff has to happen for you to
Yeah.
make up that many positions. So like it gets to the point where you have to get specific results for multiple different matches. Um and it becomes like so much like very chance based, like alongside you having to like pop off during your game.
Yeah.
So that's why. So that's like sort of the general thing
The next
with
thing I'm thinking
with
about
some of those
too
lower positions.
is for the top players, like choosing their opponents. Like I don't even know. Like let's say I do finish above AMLO dude. I don't know who I would choose as my opponent because OK and Eternum both made me really earn my win because they both have incredible teams and both played incredibly well. It's Just Me just surprised me game one, and if you can adapt, then like on making it harder to stop Groudon or making like adding another threat, or like making another mon more threatening, I guess. Um, then
Mm-hmm.
I could easily lose to him as well. SMB I've never played, and his team is very interesting, so it feels like it's kind of harder to beat, or like I have to come up with like more of a unique strategy maybe to beat him. And then your team is also incredibly scary. So it's like I don't
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have an easy matchup. Whereas like sometimes, like last season, I had a matchup. My first round, I was able to pick an opponent that I had a great matchup into. Um, or I ended up with him, I guess. But if you can have an opponent with where you have a great matchup, that's obviously ideal. But even here, I think there are a lot of very scary teams, so it's hard to say that there's any one team that is the easy win against. And playoffs will be interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, with that, we will wrap up the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was a little bit of a longer one, especially compared to last week. But this is my final stream. So thank you guys for being so good to me over those 7 weeks. I'm looking forward to participating in playoffs. Hopefully making it far in playoffs. I'm going to be still, being active. I just won't be streaming. So big thank you in advance to maybe Charcoal Oven, maybe Spam Dolph for taking over, whoever, and any future co-casters for streaming. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys. Charcoal, you have anything to say before we sign off?
Not really much, except for the fact that I've got a lot of time this week. So S&B, I will be studying your every single move. I'll be putting cameras outside your house. You will be very disturbed, and I will win 8-0, maybe. I'm messing with you, or am I? We'll see.
You're gonna win 9-0.
No, I'm gonna kill all of my mons so that I can win
11-0
by even more. My mon
Anyways.
differential is gonna be through the roof.
Anyways, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you guys next week for the final week of regular season. Peace.